In our digital world, the biggest threats, they don't exactly kick down the door. Nope. They sneak in through a phone call, maybe a friendly gesture, or a tiny piece of code you'd never even notice. So let's pull back the curtain. We're going to see how these attacks really work and, more importantly, how you can fight back.
And just to show you how big a deal this is, take a look at this. This is the breakdown for a major IT certification exam. Security isn't just some tiny slice of the pie. It's a whopping 28%. That's the exact same as operating systems. That tells you everything you need to know. For the pros and for all of us, security is not an afterthought. It's at the absolute core of everything we do.
All right, let's start with a scenario. Put yourself there. Your coworker, Linda, gets a call. The person on the other end sounds super official, says they're from IT, there's an urgent issue, and they just need her password to fix it. Seems helpful, right? But what's the real danger here?
That little scenario, well, that brings us right into our first category of threats. And these have nothing to do with complex code. It's all about exploiting the one vulnerability that no software patch can fix: us. These are the human hacks, where trust is the target.
The danger Linda was in has a name: vishing. It's basically phishing, but over your voice, on the phone. The attacker is betting that a real human voice creates a sense of urgency and authority that an email just can't match. See? They're not hacking the computer, they're hacking the person sitting in front of it.
And hey, this kind of deception isn't just on the phone. Picture this. Someone is standing by a secure door at your office, looking panicked. They ask you to hold it open because they forgot their badge. It's just a polite thing to do, right? But it's also a classic attack called tailgating. Again, it's all about exploiting our natural instinct to be helpful. Okay, so we've talked about attacks that target people. Now let's switch gears to the ones that go directly for our machines. We're talking about malicious code, malware. Think of them as digital parasites that can literally turn your own computer against you. So let's do a quick rundown. Your computer's symptoms can tell you a whole story. If your files are suddenly locked with a demand for Bitcoin, yep, that's ransomware. If your computer is crawling, the fan is going nuts, and your CPU is maxed out doing nothing, a crypto miner is probably using it for slave labor. And maybe the creepiest, your antivirus flags a program that's been recording everything you type. That's a keylogger. But some of this stuff is way, way harder to spot. Imagine your computer is acting weird, but every single scan comes back clean. That is the calling card of a rootkit. This is malware that digs itself into the very core of your operating system, the kernel, which makes it totally invisible to normal security scans. It is the ultimate ghost in the machine. So we've covered attacks on people and attacks on the machines themselves. But what about that space in between? Well, this next batch of threats happens on the network, messing with the very connections we trust every single day. Think about this. You've done it 1,000 times. You're at a coffee shop. You see coffeeshop_Wi-Fi, and you connect. Simple. But what if that network is actually an evil twin? It's a fake hotspot set up by an attacker with the exact same name as the real one. And now they're sitting right in the middle of your connection, watching everything you do. Sometimes the goal isn't to steal your data. It's just to cause pure chaos. A denial of service, or DOS, attack. That's like one person standing in a doorway, blocking everyone. Annoying, but manageable. But a DDoS, a distributed denial of service attack, that's a whole mob trying to cram through the door at once. Hundreds, even thousands of computers flooding a website, making it completely unusable for anyone. Okay, that was a lot. We've seen the threats, so now the important part. How do we fight back? When a machine gets infected, the pros don't just start clicking around randomly. They have a playbook, a clear step-by-step process. So let's walk through it. And this is absolutely crucial. Getting hit with malware feels like total chaos, but the response? It has to be the opposite. The removal process is a calm, methodical procedure. Panic is the enemy here. Process is your best friend. So step 1 is all about containment. You have to stop the bleeding. That means the very first thing you do is quarantine that system. Unplug it from the network, cut it off. Then you disable system restore. Now, why would you do that? Because malware loves to hide in those old restore points, just waiting to reinfect you after you think you're clean. All right, next up, eradication. And here's a pro tip that's absolutely vital. Before you even think about hitting that scan button, you update. You have to give your anti-malware tools the latest intel. Scanning with an outdated program is like trying to fight a modern army with an old map. Once you're updated, then you run the full scan and let it do its job. And finally, we get to recovery and prevention. You'll turn system restore back on. But immediately create a fresh, clean restore point. You schedule future scans so the computer stays on guard. But honestly, the most important step is the last one. You educate the user. You explain how this happened so they can avoid it in the future, because that's how you turn a victim into a defender.
And that really brings us to the final, most powerful idea. Cleaning up a mess is fine. It's reactive. But the best strategy, it's being proactive. It's about building a digital fortress that's so strong, the attacks just bounce right off.
So, if you remember one thing, make it this. The threats out there are incredibly diverse. Some of them target our trust, others target our technology. And in a world like that, the most powerful security tool you'll ever have isn't a piece of software, it's your own awareness. Look, the threats are real. There's no question about it. But so is your power to stop them. Knowing what a vishing call sounds like, being suspicious of that free Wi-Fi, that's where your power is. So I'll leave you with this question. What's going to be your first line of defense?